Hi, my name is Dave. I'm one of the team at Storyhouse, both the church and the coffee shop. And given that today is Good Friday, I wanted to take a moment to stop and think about why that is so significant, and specifically why it is that we would call it Good Friday when it seems like such a bleak event. Remembering when someone really good, someone really important was unjustly and unfairly executed. And how this could actually be really good news for people in some of the worst circumstances, including some of the really bleak things that are happening in our world right now. You see, I chatted to this guy a few years ago who had had the privilege of working for the church all around the world. And what he told me was that actually it is in the poorest countries where Good Friday is the biggest deal, where they celebrate it a lot more. And actually Easter Sunday, where we remember when Jesus came back from the dead, isn't so big a deal over there. And the reverse is true, that when countries get well off, they get a bit richer, they make Easter Sunday the big deal and actually don't really know what to do so much with Good Friday, and it is less of a good deal. But I think this is exactly what we should expect when we read through the accounts of what happened that day 2,000 years ago, which is exactly what I was doing this morning. I was reading through, in Luke's account, there are 4 historical accounts of what happened in Jesus' life. One of them is called the Gospel according to Luke, the Good News according to Luke, who was the author who collected the history together. And in his account of what happened to Jesus on the cross, he recounts the fact that Jesus was not just executed alone, but next to 2 criminals, one either side of him. And I was going to read you what those 2 criminals had to say about Jesus, who was between them. One of the criminals hanging alongside cursed him, "Some Messiah you are, save yourself, save us." But the other one made him shut up. "Have you no fear of God? You're getting the same as him. We deserve this, but not him. He did nothing to deserve this." Then he said, "Jesus, remember me when you enter your kingdom." Jesus said, "Don't worry, I will. Today you will join me in paradise." Now, if you've read the rest of Luke's accounts up until this point, you'll know that Jesus has actually prepared us for this moment, to expect that it would be a criminal who was dying for the things that he'd done wrong that would fully see what Jesus was up to. You see, at this point, even Jesus' own disciples can only see this as a defeat. For 3 years, they've joined this growing movement around this guy, Jesus. They've seen him do amazing things. They thought he was going to bring about national change, a change in government, overthrow the oppressive Roman Empire. They thought he was going to change everything for their nation, but now it's ending. Jesus is dying. The dream is over. The new kingdom is no more. Yet this criminal who is dying next to Jesus recognizes that this is not a moment of defeat, but victory. That this is not an execution, but a coronation of the king. But he is the only one who seems to be able to see it, including Jesus' own disciples, most of whom have run away at this point, and only a few are left watching at a close distance. Even the number 1 disciple, Peter, who would go on to lead the church, has at this point denied even knowing Jesus because it is all over. But Jesus taught prior to this moment and prepared us for this moment by saying that the blessed in life, the ones who are most well off, are the ones who are poor, who are hungry, who are grieving, and who are hated. And the worst off in this world are those who are rich, those who are well fed, those who are happy and settled in life, and those who have a good reputation, who are well thought of. And why is that? Well, it's because Jesus is ushering in a whole new era, a new world, a new kingdom, where all the terrible things that we are well aware of right now that are flooding our news screens 24 hours a day will come to an end, where injustices will end, where suffering will end, where death will end, where Jesus will be the new king. But for those who are well invested in the present, who have a reputation to defend, who have wealth to take care of themselves, who have all the food that they need, well, that might not seem like such good news, because they're going to lose all of that for this new world that's coming in. And so it was in Jesus' own life, and ever since, that those who have power, wealth, moral superiority, the religiously inclined, are those who tend to like Jesus the least, either ignoring him, treating him as a curiosity, or out and out hating and resisting him. But people who have nothing to lose have everything to gain from Jesus' new kingdom. And so they welcome it very gladly. And so it should be no surprise to us that someone who has lost everything and is about to lose his life and can recognize that he deserves what's happening to him, and so he has nothing to hold on to, not even his own moral record, then he's in exactly the right position to see the kingdom that God is bringing in. See, sometimes people have this objection to the Bible. They find it, misogynist or sexist or ageist, or you name it, that it always seems to be about these powerful old men who are in control of everything. And those people, are choosing their firstborn sons to take on their family business and the families and pass on the power. So the power keeps going to the oldest son all the way through. But a second and a third and a fourth reading, you will see that God is always undermining these very structures. That God seems to always pick the youngest in the family, or a complete outsider altogether. Someone who is morally dubious, not even Jewish. Someone totally outside gets chosen by God and ends up being the righteous person. In the start of Matthew's account of Jesus' life, he specifically lists a good number of these characters who shouldn't be in Jesus' family tree, but there they are. God loves to work with the least, the bottom of the ladder, the forgotten about. And so, like when his own people came to choose a king, he chose the youngest of the family who the father didn't even think about to bring before God. He does it time and time again, reversing the order that this world does things. We still do it. We still have competitions to find the fastest, the most beautiful, the most talented, all of that kind of thing. That's the reverse of the way that God works. And he picks the outsider and the weakest to show his strength. One person put it like this: history is actually V-shaped. You see, every time we use a phrase like progress or get on the right side of history, we're buying into this belief that the world is gradually getting better and better and better, and we need to get on the right side of that progress. But this theologian said that in God's reality, history is V-shaped. It goes down and then it goes up. It's the way that God works, is he brings life through death, victory through suffering. And we see that nowhere more powerfully than on the cross, as Jesus saves us through his own weakness. Now, this is incredibly good news for outsiders, for the suffering, for those who are going through a difficult time right now. It's harder to imagine a place where God would be more present when you understand history this way than in a neighborhood that has been destroyed by shelling. The Bible tells us time and again that God is close to those who are suffering, close to the outsiders, and they are often closer to him than those of us who are well-fed could ever dare be. Those with nothing to lose have everything to gain in Jesus. And it comes as a challenge to those of us who are self-satisfied in any kind of way. Even the criminal crucified on the other side of Jesus still felt he was morally superior, still was clinging to the fact that he was better, and so made fun of Jesus. Even him who'd lost nearly everything was clinging on to his own pride. He couldn't humble himself to enter Jesus' kingdom. But how incredible, how amazing that the other criminal, all he had to say to Jesus was, "Remember me when you enter into your kingdom." He didn't have to learn a bunch of theology. He didn't have to go through any kind of ritual or service. He didn't have to do any of these things. He simply trusted himself, his whole life, to Jesus. So for any of us who would like to enter Jesus' kingdom too, it's that simple act of humility, of recognizing everything that we have is loss, but everything that we lose is gain. It's the V shape of history, the great reversal that God does time and time again. And that invitation is open to anyone who would accept Jesus. I hope for you this Easter, wherever you're at with Jesus, you might take the time to consider who he is. Maybe go and read Luke 23 yourself. If you don't have a Bible in the house, it's free online. There are free apps where you can read it. Read these historical accounts of Jesus and what he did and what that might mean for you. And so alongside enjoying the hot cross buns and enjoying the Easter eggs and the family time and all those good things, take a little moment to think about what it might really mean for you, for your family and for your neighborhood, because we at Story House have chosen to follow this Jesus. And if you want to talk to any of us about that, whether online or in person at the coffee shop, we'd love to, or you can come join us this Sunday as we celebrate Easter Sunday at St. Michael's High School. And we will be there from 10 o'clock for some pre-service drinks and a catch up at 10:30 when the service starts. So hopefully we'll see you at one of those things. And if we don't, I hope that you have a great Easter.